Today I want to have a look at 4 of my old Singer sewing machines, maybe compare one to the other. I have a picture here of the 4 machines. I'll start with the one in the left here on the back. This machine built somewhere in the 1920s. Notice all of the fancy decals on it, which are quite worn. That machine's in pretty decent shape, but if you're actually going to buy a machine now to try to sew, this would not be my first choice. First of all, it does not have reverse. You can't sew anything backwards. That's not a huge problem, but it is a consideration. It has what they call a bullet bobbin case, which is okay. Inside is the bobbin itself, and I don't know if you can buy those new anymore. And the bobbin goes in here, and as you move the wheel, it runs backwards and forwards that way and sews. These bobbin cases, if you can find them, are rather expensive. I think maybe some of them's in excess of $50. And anytime that you're trying to buy an old machine, you want to make sure that there's a bobbin case, because if it does not have a bobbin case, you can't use the machine. And if you do not have a bobbin case and have to purchase one, it could be rather expensive. This machine has a motor on the back of it, a small motor back here, and this is the foot pedal, but the machine came out as a treadle machine, and not an electric one. But this is I don't know, a model 27 maybe, I'm not sure about that, but it's a fairly old machine. But it's not the oldest among the 4. This machine was built in 1898. It's really old. It also does not have reverse, but it has a different action than the machine I just showed you. This machine has what's called a class 15 action. Singer made the shuttles as the one that had over here they call a shuttle bobbins, and then they made this style, which is called a class 15 machine, and then the next 2 I'm going to show you have a class 66 action. Those are the major 2 that you'll find if you're looking at old Singer sewing machines, either a class 15 or class 66. The featherweight machine looks like the 66, but it is a full rotary action, and I think the bobbin is a little different. The bobbins out of a 66 are a little bit smaller. But primarily there's 2 major different styles of actions in the Singers. One's a 15 and the other one's a 66. Both are good. One just have no preference one over the other. There is one drawback to this 15 here, and that is in the bobbin and the bobbin case are underneath right here. There's a little lever that you pull out, and then you pull the bobbin case out. This is the bobbin case. There's the little lever that you pull up that unlocks it. Now these cases are a little bit different. They make what's called 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So the orientation is a little bit different from one machine to the other, but they're all still class 15 machines. The drawback for me with this little machine is when you put the bobbin case in, you pull this thing out, don't just snug it up, and this slot, this will fit in the slot underneath. You put this bobbin case and turn it a little, and you feel it fall in and just let go of it, it's locked in. The only drawback to the 15 is that the bobbin case is underneath the machine, And if your hands are rather large, it's kind of difficult to get in there in order to put the bobbin case in. You can head the machine up and put the bobbin case in, but that's how you put that one in. This machine is a fine old machine. It works just as well as it did the day it rolled out of the factory. I've sewn with it. Actually, I hooked the motor up to it and tried to use it, and it actually sews a little bit. It's too free. And once you sew, when you want to stop, the momentum of this heavy wheel here carries it on. It just continues to spin. You need the old treadles wheels. Notice had spokes in them. They're usually more massive than the more modern machines. I think the mass is there for the momentum that allows you, once you get your needle moving up and down with the treadle, as you pedal it, the momentum carries it forward, so it's easier to keep the motion. So this is the old Class 15 machine. This machine is somewhere around 1950. It's a Class 66 machine, and it has a bobbin that drops in from the top. It has a little lever here. You push the lever, it pushes the bobbin up, and there's the bobbin. It looks like the 15 bobbin, but they're different. Most of the old bobbins, the 15s, are perforated around the edge, and the 15 is a little bit larger and a little wider across here. The 66 bobbin is usually solid. I did, however, was at Walmart not long ago and picked up some bobbins, and it said on them that they were Class 15, but they were solids. But traditionally the 15 bobbins have perforations, have holes around them, and the 66 does not. Now once you get this bobbin wound, you just simply drop it in. The bobbin case here is held in by screws, so you're not apt to lose it. So if you find the 66 machine, chances are the bobbin case is okay. The 15 machine you need to check, because sometimes the bobbin case, since you can extract it and hold it in your hand, sometimes they get lost, and you do not want to buy a machine unless it's got a bobbin case, because bobbin cases are not cheap. So this is the Singer 66. It made around 1950. It's electric motor driven. And over to the left is the 66's little brother. This also is a 66 action. In other words, this machine looks exactly like the one I just showed you, except it's smaller. This machine is approximately 3/4 the size of the one on the right. This one is called a Model 99. Now they did make a machine this size in the 1920s that had the shuttle bobbin. I think it's called a Model 127. But this one again is built in the early 50s. It's got some dust on it where it's been laying around. I've got more than one of these, so I haven't really used this machine. This is a fine little machine. These old black Singers are just wonderful for the precision engineering that went into them. It's just a pleasure to sew with them. They don't sew zigzags and upside down, and you don't push a button and go get a cup of coffee and come back and they're finished sewing. You have to actually control them, but there's nothing to tear up on them. The chances are, unless something's been, well actually I got an old Singer out of the garbage once and took it home, and it worked fine after I worked on it some. So mostly when you find these old machines, someone may say, well, I don't know if it'll work or not, provided the little motor's not burnt out on it. And these machines, I'd say 95% or better of the time, can be made to sew quite well. So I wanted to show you this little fellow. I'm fond of the 99s. You do have to have a special cabinet because the hole that the machine sets in is smaller. Or you could actually make a little stand to set it down in. That's what I do, just little pieces of wood to set it down. So this is a 99 Singer. Over here is a 66. Some things you want to look at if you're purchasing a machine. Aesthetics, you can see what you're buying. You know, if it's got if it strikes your fancy. This one has, the decals are really nice on it for its age. But if the decals has nothing to do with how the machine operates. So if you want something that's really pretty, you can see that on your own. What I'm interested in is explaining some of the things that you need to look for. As I mentioned earlier, with the 15, you need to make sure that the bobbin case is there. You can still buy lights for this machine, but I don't use the light. I use an overhead, a larger light. I'm getting older and I don't see as well, so I have to have more light than what this little fellow puts out. You do want to pay attention to the cord and make sure it's not frayed. And if it's frayed, of course, you get an electrical hazard. You can rewire them if you want, but you need to look at the cord to make sure they work okay. Most of the time when you buy them, you just have to oil the things. This little, I call them a little tire. Many times on these old machines, this thing has dry rotted and is crumbly, and it's really not any good. You have to get a new one, and you can order these. They're only a couple of dollars or something a piece. So this is a part of the mechanism that rewinds the bobbins. So I have 4 of these old machines here. 2 of them, the little 99 and this 66, are both the same kind of machine. They do both have reverse on them. They have stitch length here that goes from something like 20. Well, actually, you can sit in one place and just do darn if you want, darning a hole up if you want to. These machines are excellent for straight line sewing, quilting. I do upholster on these a lot of times. I upholstered a golf cart seat and a truck seat for my brother with this 66 this last week. So they are capable machines. They'll sew just about anything that you can get underneath the foot. If you're going to sew leather, you have to watch about the leather, about it slipping, but for the most part, when we say upholster work, we're talking about either cloth or vinyl. These machines, if you hold this pulley, get a hold of this little one and turn it in this direction, and that frees up so that you can, if this thing had been oiled up, say that needle's not working now. So you do that in order to rewind the bobbin, and when you've got the bobbin rewound, that way it keeps your needle from going up and down while the bobbin is being rewound. You can tighten this back up and good to go. There's a little clutch mechanism in here. This one is a 99K, and my understanding, the K means that this thing was built in the Singer plant in Scotland. Most of the feet that fit on these machines are the same. Singer made the more modern ones, say from the 1940s onward. They either have what's called a low shank or a high shank, meaning that the distance up and down here is different. They did make an oddball one back in the 1900s, early 1900s, but those the feet won't change out. But the feet on these machines, on this 15 and on these two, this 99 and 66, the feet will all interchange on them. So that's a good thing about Singers. Most of the time when you buy different feet, they will fit. One will fit the other. The thread, this thread is a 69, Tech 69 upholstery thread. This machine will handle that size thread adequately, no problem. You do need to use a larger needle. You think I have an 18 needle in there right now. Anything larger than a 69, the machine really can't hardly handle it because of the bobbin case. But anything up to a 69, which is good enough for upholstery work in most cases, that machine will handle it. So you can't really get a machine like this anymore. The more modern ones that I've seen pale in comparison to the quality of the engineering and the precision. Or if you spend enough money and get a machine that has some precision, there's sensors on it, and who knows what happens when the sensors go out. But for those of you that might be interested in buying just a machine to do what you call regular sewing or quilting, then either of these, this 15 or the 66, either one should suffice. The 99, the difference in it and the 66 is the distance across here. The throat here is, say, looks like about 7 or 8 inches, and over there I think it's about more like 10 or 11. So that's my comparison of the Black Singer sewing machines.